Welcome everyone to On the Rise. I'm your host, Mike Feinberg. With me as always, my co-host, David Shore. How you doing, David?
I'm great. Fight week. I'm ready to go.
Fight week. We're finally here.
Yeah.
Once again, we are here. We're hoping to say this quite often. Hopefully, almost every month, we'll be able to have this conversation. So we are here. We are having the fight this Saturday night at Extreme Action Park in Fort Lauderdale. If you haven't bought your tickets yet, please log on to our app, RIZE FC. Only place you can purchase tickets for this event. Tickets are selling fast, but we still have plenty left. Jump on them now. Get them today. So it looks like we have a complete card finally set up, David. I know it always takes until about this time to get it all together.
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised with a couple of tweaks between now and fight night.
Yep.
But it looks like we got a dozen fights on the card right now that are set. Mm-hmm. And we'll see. Hopefully they all stick.
Right. And
if they don't, we'll modify and whatever we got to do. But I wanted to go through, with no further ado, some of the fighters that are going to be on our card. So we're going to start off first here by saying we've got a kickboxing match. Corey Jacobs versus Chris Butler. They're going to be contesting at lightweight 155. Dylan Inman will be fighting Oscar Lacayo in an MMA fight at lightweight 155. Lucas Rosa will be fighting Alex Michalina. That's going to be at featherweight 145. Jalen Jackson will be fighting Jamari McNichols at 135. Matthew Cunningham taking on Ariel Perez at 135. Sam Mercado versus Gustavo Simestera at 125 flyweights. Ronnie Levine will be fighting Robert Russell at 155. We've got another kickboxing match. These two ladies, Nirmari Figueroa versus Ludi Alves, fighting at strawweight 115. LJ Wilson will be returning and fighting Anthony Hernandez at lightweight 155. Ryan Ocasio taking on Christian Vasquez at 125. Vinny Costantino making a trip down here from New York, taking on Giovanni Gomez at 145. And Rene Robert taking on Christian Esquilin at 145 as well. So pretty stacked cards. Some of the names you've heard before. Some are brand new to us here at RIZE. And we're looking forward to seeing fireworks pretty much with most of these fights. Which one stands out to you, David?
After talking to that guy Vinny, that's going against Giovanni, which Giovanni is a little tank in himself, and I really liked his last. I believe he was on the last card with us, and I think he believed he got a finish as well. And it was a really definitive finish. I think that and Vinny seems extremely eager and amped up and experienced, and that's honestly one of my favorites. I'm excited to see. But like you said, usual suspects. I'm ready to catch all the action and see who's improved and who's gotten better. Lucas, obviously he's been training hardcore. Yeah. Their whole entire camp. I believe also Ronnie Levine's with them. Just watching his training, from social media, these guys are there, twice, 3 times a day, just giving it their all. So I'm just excited to see what they've developed.
Yeah, like you said, Lucas and Ronnie from American Combat Gym, along with LJ Wilson, also there training under Charles McCarthy.
Yep.
Yeah, these guys, they put in the work, that's for sure. We've seen a lot of what they've been able to do there in training. They train with some of the best UFC fighters there are out there.
Right.
So they do come to bring it. And that doesn't take anything away from the rest of these gyms because there's so much talent coming out of so many of these gyms.
Exactly. Gustavo is with MMA Masters, and that's where Kobe Covington was training, and a lot of famous UFC fighters are there. And I don't believe we had a chance to see him fight, but he was on the Team MMA card last year. So, but I remember him training, and I remember interviewing him, and him being a really big 125er. Shocked that he was actually fighting that low. So I'm excited to see what he's been up to as well.
Yeah, for sure. We're contesting this at many different weight classes. You see, as low as strawweight, up to as much as lightweight.
Right.
We don't have anybody fighting above lightweight this time around. We're not bringing the heavyweights out or middleweights out this time around. So you're all going to see, a class of fighters that all can kind of weigh close enough to each other that, hey, if we see, great performances from, different fighters, we may actually match those guys up the next time around.
Right. Like, what's the McNichols? He was on our first card at the pre-prelim, and he dominated, I believe, in the first round. So, it's fun to see him come back and see what he's been up to. It wasn't the last card, but I believe it was the card before that. So it's be interesting to see what he's been up to. And Esquilin as well. That guy's been training like a madman. I look at him and his dad on social media, and his dad's got full support.
Yeah.
These guys are on a mission, and I can't wait to see their product.
And then you got these couple of flyweights coming in too, Sam Mercado and Gustavo Simestera. We've seen Gustavo fight before. He's taking a guy named Sam. You know, I'm curious to see what he can do, you know, coming back again, and Gus can. And again, at flyweight 125, these are little guys, but they're not so little.
Right.
They're going to come in with some power.
Right.
And again, trying to see if they can step up and maybe fight a little higher weight class next time around, if, you know, should one of them dominate versus another. But 12 fights on the card.
Yep.
You know, plenty of activity, plenty of action here coming up this Saturday night. Brand new venue for us.
Right.
At Extreme Action Park. And we talked about this last week. You said you hadn't been there before, David,
no,
right?
No, not yet.
Okay. Are you going to try the cars?
That's what I'm trying. I'm going to show a little early and see if I can hop on, if they have go-karts or laser tag, you know, and get a feel for the place. But it has great reviews. I was looking at it on Instagram, and, you know, I'm looking forward to a good event and some AC as well. So
yeah, that's right.
Nice.
Yeah, so inside venue, very, very large room, facility. So a lot of space that we're going to have out there, and a lot more tickets can be sold. Mm-hmm. We'll be able to have a lot of fan base out there. But yes, so that was one of the fights that you mentioned, and I know we spoke with Lucas last week.
Right.
Curious to see what he can come back and bring. He said he's been tweaking a lot on his striking.
Right.
Want to see, you know, how that's shaped up, and obviously his wrestling, we know, is always there. It's always on point. Some of these other guys I mentioned, Corey Jacobs has fought in the past for RIZE. He's coming back with his kickboxing match against a guy named Chris Butler. Not too familiar with Chris, but I know Corey did pretty well. You know, the first time out with us. Oscar Lacayo is a returning fighter, fighting Dylan Inman, again, another guy who hasn't fought for RIZE in the past. Curious to see what kind of competition he can bring. And Lucas's opponent, Alex Michalina, we spoke about him a little bit last week. Mm-hmm. I understand he's a pretty good fighter.
Yeah.
But again, we haven't seen much on him, so it's going to be kind of a surprise for all of us. Matthew Cunningham, a.k.a. Zeus, didn't get the opportunity to fight for us last time, but this time around he's ready to go. He's actually coming and fighting a different weight class as well, against Ariel Perez, who we had on the show last week.
Yeah.
We mentioned Gus just a second ago. Ronnie Levine, who unfortunately didn't get the opportunity to fight for us last time, although he was ready, will be fighting Robert Russell. Going to see how that pans out at 155. So these two ladies, Nirmari Figueroa and Ludi Alves, coming in at strawweight. I think they're both making their debut. They're doing this kickboxing. They're not sure that's the capacity of what they want to continue to do, but they're trying to just get their feet wet in the sport. You know, been training a lot. They've got a lot of good trainers, you know, that have been showing them the ropes.
Right.
Curious to see, you know, what they can bring, and if there's any talent and some skill behind what they've been doing.
Do you have their height differential, or?
Yeah, I wasn't really going to say that, but yeah, with Nirmari, my understanding is she is 4'8".
Huh.
So I thought that's a pretty good challenge in itself.
Right.
To fight a kickboxing match at 4'8". Not a very tall stature.
Right.
Curious to see, you know, what she can bring and
close the distance.
Yeah, well, you know, just to really see, you know, her athleticism.
Yeah.
You know, how high can she kick?
Right.
You know, how high up there she, you know, throws punches upward. A lot of uppercuts. You know,
right.
You know, she's coming in at 115. She's definitely going to have some muscle behind her. So we don't know much about her. You know, and anything can go. Any kind of surprise can happen, like you said, closing the distance, and that'll be that. You know, she's not going to have to worry about you know, wrestling. She's not going to have to worry about any other stuff. Just that kickboxing.
I'm excited.
It's exciting. It is exciting. And you got L.J. Wilson coming back.
Yeah.
I know we were happy to see him the last time he was on with us.
Exactly, yeah.
He's coming back in again with a great group of trainers. He's coming and fighting Anthony Hernandez.
I don't know if L.J. Wilson can get any more in shape, you know?
Right. That's right. Yeah, he always looked like he was the most cut guy in the room.
Yeah, more jacked for sure.
So we got Ryan Ocasio and Christian Vasquez, a couple of guys that we have not had on our cards before.
Right.
So they'll be coming in and making their debut with RIZE, or I don't know how many fights they've had in the past, but their RIZE debut is what I really should say. Vinny Costantino, who we talked to last week, he's making the trip down from New York, going to be taking on Giovanni Gomez, who we have seen on our fight cards before. Gomez, as you mentioned, you know, he has some power behind him. He has the ability. He had that stoppage last time out. Let's see what Vinny can bring, what kind of experience he brings with him.
Vinny just reminds me of, like I said, like a kind of a villain in a movie. You know, if he could have like a dark background when he was talking, he would kind of be kind of scary, you know?
That's right.
I mean, I'm sure he's kind of scary just in general, but yeah, it was pretty funny how direct he was in his ambitions. So, but you know, like you said, Gomez really impressed me last time. He had a finish, and it's gonna be interesting to see these guys, you know, go at it for sure.
Right. And then we've got Renee Robert. He's an identical twin, if you don't know about Renee, and he's coming to fight Christian Esquilin, who's fought in our card in the past as well. And you know, Christian, I think he comes from several different kinds of backgrounds. I think that's what we were talking about, right? Was it Sweden and Finland? I can't quite remember.
Puerto Rican, and he's from Virginia, and I think he was stationed in Poland or something like that. I can't quite remember. His dad's gonna shoot me. He told me directly. I'm shot out.
But we'll get it all figured out before fight night. But again, hey, look, it is fight week, people. This is the time we're getting right down to it. We're not going to bring any guests on, I don't think, with us today. Everybody's kind of in preparation mode, trying to get themselves together. We will be, of course, here Friday for the weigh-ins, and then fight is on Saturday night. So get ready for these things. You'll see a lot more of what's going on here this week as the week pans out. Keep watching for the promos. Keep watching for little videos. Log on to the site, of course. Log on to the app. Download everything you can possibly do. Continue to do it. And again, RIZE X, we're going to be unleashing RIZE X. That's the best way to explain it. Unleashing it. It's got power behind it.
I like it.
And RIZE X is going to be the pay-per-view platform that we have here through RIZE FC. We are going to give you at least one of the fights for free as it starts the night. And then if you like what you see, and if you haven't already bought and paid for the membership for the month, feel free to go ahead and do that. Click over to RIZE X and you'll see the rest of it. But I would say, if you're going to do it anyway, do it sooner versus later, because you can see all the past fights. You can see a lot more on RIZE X that you could not see if you were not already a member. So jump on that, RIZE FC, download it from Android or Apple, and then click over to RIZE X, pay your $5, and then you have all the action and activity right in front of you. We are, as I mentioned before, going to try to have a fight card each and every month. My understanding is we've already secured a venue for July. So we've got one here in May, we've got one in July. We're going to try to fill the gap in June. Don't hold me to that just yet. We got to put that together. We're working on it. Before we get too much more into what we're talking about, we're going to break for a quick commercial. So give us just a couple of minutes and we'll be right back with you. All right? See you in a minute.
Center the article. Oh! Are excited and ready for the second bout of RIZE.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed that slew of commercials we threw at you all at once. But hopefully you got a lot of information there now. So I'm sure you've seen a little preview of our app, a little bit about the fight card itself that's taking place on Saturday, and even with one of our sponsors as well. So David, we just before the break were discussing the dozen fights that we now have sitting in front of us that we've just pretty much scratched up together.
Yep.
Just before we went live, and again, it's a pretty diverse group. Lots of different weights, lots of different backgrounds and skills. People coming and traveling from all over the U.S. pretty much to fight. I know they're all in preparation mode, as I said. People are trying to make those last weight cuts.
Right.
We don't want to have an unfair advantage of taking anybody away from what they were doing or bring them in as guests today. But again, you will see them on Friday. We will have the weigh-ins at Extreme Action Park on Friday. It will be in the evening. I don't have an exact start time for you yet, but stay tuned to social media so that you can get that time and figure out exactly when that's going to be. And we will, of course, air that and stream that for you to see as well. And then the fight itself at Extreme Action Park on Saturday, and that will be at 7 p.m. So again, get your tickets if you want to come see it in person, or just jump on the app and watch it right there through RIZE X. So David, again, pretty stacked card.
Right.
I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait.
It's fight week. We can kind of feel it.
Finally made it. Yeah, you can always feel in the air right before a fight for sure.
Right. I know the fighters are excited about it. They're happy that we're able to, have a quick turnaround and come right back out in less than 2 months' time. We're back out doing it again.
Right.
Some of these guys, again, fought for us just 2 months ago, so they were itching to get right back in. And they said, I don't need any downtime.
It's a big surprise for me because, like I said, I haven't been to this venue yet, so can't wait to see it and see what we're dealing with. But it looks great, so I'm super anticipating it.
Yeah, I've been out to the venue before, for another combat sport.
Oh, really?
I was out there and I watched the venue. So they actually, somebody actually had a few events there at that venue. I don't know if we're using the same room that they used before, but if it is, it's a very, very large room, and they made it work. They made it work, and it was entertaining, if nothing else. So I know people will enjoy what they get to come out and see. So if you guys haven't seen it, and again, we picked Fort Lauderdale as a venue because it gives everyone the opportunity here from South Florida to travel really the same kind of distance to get out there. I know we got some fighters coming from South Miami, and their family and friends are coming from there as well. So rather than having to go up here in Lake Worth, somewhere in Palm Beach, and having to make them travel an hour and a half plus, it shortens their trip quite a bit.
Yep.
So we got guys coming from the Orlando area down. We got people coming from Miami up, and it's just it's a pretty good neutral location. I think it'll work.
I got faith.
I think it'll work.
Yeah.
So of course you'll see the two of us commentating. We'll be there cage side, let you know exactly what's going on, all the action of the night, and that's our fight card. Beyond that, David, what's been going on over the course of with UFC?
Oh yeah, there's not going to be any bags into the arena apparently.
Right. They're doing the clear bag and the bag check and all that, and security, of course. So yeah, if you don't remember from last time out, we had this conversation that due to heightened security measures now, we're not going to allow anybody to have any bags coming into the room, and we are going to be checking everybody at the door, wanding them and checking them with a metal detector. So. Just make sure that you leave anything that could potentially be considered a weapon at home or in your car. Please don't bring them into the venue. You will be escorted right back out. We will not be allowing any kind of hoopla.
Leave the fight into the fighters.
Exactly. Leave the fights inside the cage. That's what we're planning to do that night. There's just no place and no business for anything to be going on outside of that cage. So that's how people want to enjoy it. Right? That's the way you want to feel safe and you want to feel comfortable. And you want to enjoy your night. You don't want to deal with any of the nonsense. So no nonsense. So this is the no nonsense card.
Makes sense.
So we go back to what I was asking you. So UFC. What's happened since our last show and what's happening soon?
More my highlight, I would say, over UFC would be Bellator on Friday. I really enjoyed that. UFC card was okay, but I think the Bellator card was a lot better. It had Anthony Rumble Johnson. He got tagged pretty good, and he came back with a knockout finish, which is really he's in a tournament right now. And he actually I think Jose Augusto, who replaced Yoel Romero. I wish it was Yoel Romero, but it was a good fight. Also, Michael Venom Page is another one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah.
He fought on that card. The guy's amazing. He looks like Michael Jackson in the ring. He dances and does all kinds of crazy stuff, moonwalking on the way to a knockout. It's wild. But yeah, really.
Got arrested today.
What's that?
Rumble got arrested.
Today? Didn't know that. Apparently, Rumble got arrested for what?
Credit card, using somebody else's credit card.
Wow. So
I guess it was
this just in from our news report. Apparently, Rumble Johnson was arrested, which I met the gentleman, and he's a super nice guy. So hopefully, he gets out of that.
Check your bank account.
I know it's not. I'm not rich enough for him to tag me. I wouldn't want to fight him over it either. I'm not trying to get knocked out today. But yeah, I've seen him compete, and I've met him in person. Good guy, as far as as far as I know. But anywho, yeah. Also, the UFC card, it was a pretty decent card. Cerrone lost. I don't know if I heard that Cerrone will have one more fight on his contract. We'll see if he can turn it around. All this craziness between Diego Sanchez and his coach. He was supposed to fight Cerrone, and I guess his coach is like a guru MMA coach or whatever. Yeah. And he was Sanchez was training at Jackson Wink with John Jones and everything else. Now he's training with this guy Josh Fabia or whatever. Well, he released a rant of this guy going off on UFC commentators before the fight, like the pre-interview.
Yeah.
And he recorded it and he shared that. Then they also leaked some training of Diego Sanchez of holding Diego Sanchez upside down, and he's punching him in the face repetitively in the face. I've heard he's also chased people around with a knife in the ring as part of training to get people in that kind of fight mode. Silly stuff, but I always say leave the training to the professionals, and you shouldn't pretend, because you can get someone seriously hurt or mess with their mental abilities, which is sad because Diego's one of my favorite fighters of all time as far as his aggression, and he has some classic wars. So, that's pretty much it for MMA for me.
I gotcha. And before I forget, I just want to say, I don't know if you'd heard this or even know who I'm talking about, but Colt Brennan passed away today. And do you remember who that is?
Sounds familiar.
Okay, so he was a standout football player out there at University of Hawaii. Back in the day, he broke many NCAA records. Actually held the record for single-season touchdown passes until Joe Burrow just broke that record a couple of years ago. But he was a great quarterback and a great prospect. Got picked up by the Washington football team, which of course was called something else back then. And he was there in preseason, and he looked like he was probably going to be the guy. Unfortunately, he had some injuries, and he wasn't able to start the season. They cut him. He got passed around a little bit. Never actually got to play in the NFL, unfortunately. Played a little in Canadian League and Arena League and things like that. He had suffered just one thing after the next. He was in a car accident at one point, so forth. Anyway, long story short is Colt Brennan passed away today at 37 years old. It was an unfortunate circumstance that surrounded that. So in the world of sports, people who did follow college football, say 15 years ago, were very aware of who he was. And it's unfortunate that such a great talent like that was a little bit wasted. He wasn't able to get the opportunity to do what he had to do, and he passed away today at such a young age of 37. So, our condolences to the whole Brennan family. Boxing world. So, a guy named Canelo Alvarez fought this past Saturday. I think you heard of him.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I watched the replay on that. How crazy.
So, Canelo Alvarez fought Billy Joe Saunders back this past Saturday night. It was a unification bout at the super middleweight division for 3 belts being on the line. Billy Joe Saunders, of course, being a 2-division undefeated champion. And it was a great fight. I mentioned last week that it wasn't going to be a pushover, easy fight. It wasn't going to be Canelo walking through the guy. Early rounds belonged to Canelo for sure, but Billy Joe finally found his groove, kind of the middle rounds. He won at least 2 or 3 of the rounds. At the end of the 8th round, he was brought back to his corner, and they recognized that he had some serious damage to his eye. They felt it didn't make any sense for it to continue on at that point. Could he have continued? Maybe. But, there's a lot more damage that could have been done to that eye from what I understand, because there were several fractures in his orbital bone.
I believe Canelo said I broke his face, right? Or something like that.
I actually didn't hear that part, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Apparently he did. I heard he definitely broke his face.
I wouldn't be surprised because, a guy like Canelo Alvarez, who, used to be a very humble guy coming from humble beginnings, has become kind of a jerk-off, over the years.
So some people love that kind of stuff,
He just, he maybe needs to, be a little nicer, I think, when he speaks to people.
Nice instance for the birds when you're shooting for greatness,
I guess. No denying the talent regardless, And now he's learning to speak English a lot more. If you've seen, he's actually answering people in English now. And Demetrius Andrade, a great 2-division champion. He's a middleweight champ right now, WBO. Great guy. He was calling him out, at the press conference. And he was being very, very polite to him, very respectful to him. And Canelo just sort of didn't want him there. So he cursed at him, told him to get lost, told him he was nothing, told me he was nobody, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, maybe they will fight, maybe they won't fight. I don't think it's in the cards. But Canelo Alvarez getting his 8th round TKO this past Saturday night is looking on to potentially completely unify all the belts in super middleweight division, which means the next opponent could potentially be Caleb Plant. If he doesn't take him on, they're talking about that rubber match with Triple G. Once and for all, who's the best at that division?
You know what the real fight is to make.
Oh, yeah, well, that one's coming.
Yeah, Canelo versus Jake Paul.
That's it.
Let's line it up.
That would be, I feel bad for Jake Paul if he broke every bone in his body with the punch from Canelo.
Hey, he'll get the views regardless. Just like stealing somebody's hat, he learned a lesson.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if something like that comes to fruition.
You saw that weigh-in? Or the conference?
The press conference, yeah. It was interesting. They roughed up Jake pretty good. He's banned. He's not allowed to come to the fight.
No way.
Yeah. He's banned from the fight because of what he did.
Wow.
But that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But that Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight is still on. We're talking about June 6th at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. The day before that, Triller's putting on their next card, June 5th, which includes Teofimo Lopez, the unified lightweight champ, and Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield, who'll be fighting Kevin McBride, an exhibition match on that same card. These guys had their press conference too. They're ready to go. I don't know that they're going to pass all their medical before they get to it, but it would be nice to see something like that. Behind that fight card, Triller's got the next one, which is July 3rd. Oscar De La Hoya is going to be fighting on the July 3rd card. A lot of people have a lot to say about that one.
Is there an announcement of who he's fighting?
I don't know who it is yet. I think it's still a TBA. I don't think they've actually put that one together. Just like with the next Triller card on June 5th, they haven't put anything else together other than the fact that Teofimo is fighting his mandatory, or one of his mandatories, and that Holyfield's going to be fighting McBride if that comes together. They haven't put anything else together. They haven't even told us where the venue is yet, and it's coming soon. It's June 5th. You think you probably figure this out by now. But that's coming. But even before that, next Saturday night, because obviously we know what's happening this Saturday night. Nobody should be watching anything other than the RIZE fight card.
That's true.
Okay. But next Saturday night is going to be a unification bout in super lightweight division. So you got Josh Taylor. He's going to be taking on Jose Ramirez for all the marbles at super lightweight. These two guys, both undefeated fighters, are amazing. And they've gone through a plethora of freaking great fighters to get to where they are today. And they're actually going to be putting their belts on the line to fight each other, which it rarely happens these days. But we're going to see it, and whoever comes out on top most likely will be stepping up and kind of relinquishing his belts and moving on to the welterweight division to see what kind of damage they can do there against the likes of, Keith Thurman and Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao.
Right.
We'll see how that one goes. And finally, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, the fight that they've been trying to put together for the longest time. We all know they signed contracts, the 2-fight contract, a couple of months ago. But they were back and forth with, the purse and how that was all going to go. It was a $150 million site fee we talked about. Saudi Arabia, August. That's when the fight is supposed to happen.
Wow.
So as long as that doesn't move around again, that's what we're looking at. Saudi Arabia in August, we'll finally get to see the unification of the heavyweight titles. Last time we saw, heavyweight titles unified was Lennox Lewis. I don't remember, man. Were you born yet?
No.
No, it was 20-something years ago. It was a really long time ago. We're talking late 90s at that point. So curious to see how these things are going to go, and very excited that they're finally going to put these kinds of fights together. Yeah. And it's happening in 2021. We're moving on from the pandemic, and we're putting some good fight cards together.
Everyone's been training and ready to fight, so yeah, it's going to all pile up.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, guys, we got our RIZE card this Saturday. Do not miss the fight card, whether it be in person, whether it be through the app or any other media organization that you can actually put it through, Roku, Apple TV, Fire Stick.
YouTube. We're going to be sharing fights on Facebook as well, the first preliminary fights.
Right.
So it's going to be all live.
So you'll be able to see it, catch it, know exactly when it begins. Once you see that first fight come through free, if you want to wait at that point and then buy in, feel free to do that. As I said, if you buy in sooner than that, you'll have the opportunity to watch some of the past fights. And, again, it's going to be a great fight card. It's pretty stacked. We've got that one coming, and then right behind it, we already have our July date set, July 17th. And we're putting that one together as we speak in the background.
Right.
Probably with some of the fighters that are going to be winning our fights here this time around.
And if you guys want to fight, you can go onto our website, register, and reach out, and we'll get to you. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're putting kickboxing matches together, MMA fights, and most likely some boxing cards coming up soon too. So, whatever it is that you do in combat sports, it's possible we can match you up with somebody and put you on a card. So we'd like to see your credentials, see what your history is. Just tell us what you got, what you can do, who you train with, and we'll see if we can fit you in somewhere. So that's our show for tonight. Yeah.
No guests. We make it nice and easy and quick.
Oh, I'm ready for the weigh-ins.
So we'll get into that, of course. As I said, weigh-ins Friday, Extreme Action Park. We'll let you know exactly what the time is. Just keep tuning in. All social media platforms, we can let you know exactly when that happens. Come out if you can. Buy those tickets before they run out. And that's it for the show. So on behalf of everybody here at On the Rise, Armando Gonzalez, Gerardo Ramos, my co-host David Shore, I am Mike Feinberg. Have a great night, everyone. Stay safe.